Hi, hello, this is Max, co-founder of BidX. In today's video, I'd like to talk about how coronavirus affects search as well as purchasing behavior on Amazon. We will have a look into brand analytics, into the most important advertising KPIs, and we will also compare the AMX 500 index with the Apple mobility trend. It's going to be very interesting for you, so stay tuned. The lockdown began in March 2020. While local retailers were forced to close and many entrepreneurs were plagued by existential fears, customers were also insecure. Questions at that time were, would everyday products still be available? Should larger purchases be avoided to save money? And will online shops be able to meet the high demand? In the following, we show you how consumers have changed their behavior in response to the coronavirus. Let's start by having a look into brand analytics. In this picture you see how the search terms evolved from February to March 2020 in the UK. Toilet roll, for instance, got from rank 756 to rank 2, flour from rank over 4000 to 58, and even yoga mat increased from 72 to 18. So generally we see that products in the hygiene sector or in the entertainment or in disinfection area are highly in demand. But people did not just search more frequently on Amazon, they also bought more often and the paid sales increased. In the period from beginning of March to mid-April, for example, the number of paid orders increased by 6% when compared to the previous 6 weeks, and the paid sales were up 25%. It is therefore obvious that the average shopping basket value also increased during this period, specifically by 18% compared to the previous period. By the way, if you are an Amazon seller and you are interested in seeing more videos like this, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification so you get notified when you make a new upload. One of our simple hypotheses is that consumers have satisfied their demand during the lockdown period by migrating to online shopping. If you take a look at Amazon's results for the first quarter of 2020, you'll see that the sales rose to $75 billion, which is an increase of 26% compared to the same period last year. The upcoming advertising data that we show to you is used from the AMX 500. AMX 500 is an index which represents the average advertising performance data of 500 anonymized international Amazon merchants managed by BidX. We provide access to AMX 500 free of charge, but only via an invitation link. You are more than welcome to send us an email at amx500@bidx.xyz to request access to the index. Let's have a look into the AMX 500 index from beginning of February to end of April. What you see is that the average performance in this time frame is 100%. So every time the index goes above 100%, this means it's above the average for that time period, and if it's below the average for that time period. What you see is from mid-March onwards, the AMX 500 shows a significant increase. March 15 marks the beginning of the increased sales period. On this day, the index rose above 120% for the first time. One day later, on March 16, the stationary retail traders in Germany closed. The peak was on March 29, where the index peaked at 178%. Now, let's also have a look into Apple's mobility data. Apple is providing mobility trend reports for the different countries. And now, at the end of June, while we are recording this video, you see that the mobility trend is already above the baseline. And for instance, over here in the United States, we have plus 29%. In Germany, we have 28% above. and only in UK it's still below the baseline. So we thought it's really interesting in combining the AMX 500 index with the Apple mobility trend and see if there is any correlation. Almost at the same time of the decreasing movement trend, the Amazon market index rose. This happened in the beginning of the lockdown, entered after March 12th. While the average sales for the sellers were already peaked at the end of March, the lockdown and the low movement still stayed for a couple of more days. Having checked the correlation, the strength of the statistical relationship between the transaction data and the Amazon market index, we found a strong negative correlation coefficient of approximately minus 0.7, meaning the less people moved, the more people bought on Amazon. It is important to note that despite the correlation between the movement trend from Apple and the AMX 500, a fully causal relationship cannot be assumed. This means that it is not known whether the decreasing movement numbers and the increased time at home are the direct cause of the increased sales in the AMX 500. Besides an increase in sales, there is another interesting change in the consumer behavior, which can also be seen from changes in the advertising figures. Our next hypothesis is that during the lockdown, consumers spent more time browsing and researching products. This has something to do with the change in the click-through rate and the conversion rate in the period from March to May. In these 2 months, the CTR rose a whole more than 30% compared to the previous period. Since the CTR describes the ratio of clicks to impressions, the increase means that the advertisement within the search results were clicked more often. We suspect that consumers spent more time at home due to the lockdown and therefore simply spent more time on product research and comparison. The result of that is more product comparison and more clicks. The assumption is supported by the change in the conversion rate, which fell by 15% over the same period. Since a lower conversion rate means that fewer products were bought after clicks on advertisements. When consumers want to inform themselves and compare products, they will click on several products' detail pages but will not buy from all of them. This quickly reduces the average conversion rate. A look at the change in number of clicks also confirms this, as they increased by 20% over the same period when compared to the previous period. Despite increased advertising costs due to a higher number of clicks, Amazon merchants were more profitable on average during the period from beginning of March to mid-April. Such an insight is revealed by a look at the ACOS in the following chart compared to the previous period. The ACOS fall in that time by 15%, mainly due to the higher sales. So, what are the key takeaways for you? It is important to recognize trends as early as possible. Therefore, we recommend you to regularly compare your own sales figures with the data from AMX 500, especially when some new external influences arise or business contexts change. You should also take a regular look into brand analytics and analyze the changes in the search queries. In this way, you can draw conclusions for future external influences of a similar character at an early stage and act accordingly. The coronavirus crisis has shown that out-of-stock inventory has been a major problem for Amazon sellers. In case of special circumstances, such as Prime Day, make sure you build up a sufficient inventory early enough so that you not run out in the risk of being unable to meet demand, thereby putting your business in the best position to benefit from commercial opportunities. If you like to use AMX 500 and gain insights, please send us an email to amx500@bidx.xyz and we will gladly send you an invitation link. We hope you found some valuable insights in this video. If yes, leave us a like and share the video with your friends and your colleagues. If you want to get notified when we make a new upload, please subscribe to our channel. please hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications. That's it from our side. If you have any questions or if you have any ideas what we should cover in the next video, please leave it down below in the comments. That's it from our side. See you in the next one. Bye.